All right, welcome back to another episode of Talking Tridents, Mariners podcast. What are your thoughts on spring training so far? Continued. We're in what, second week now?
Yeah, we've been able to see quite a bit of games now, even some splits squad games, which is really nice to see. Gets a lot of reps out there. It's been exciting. I mean, we've seen what we talked about last episode. A lot of these regular guys that are going to be on our opening day roster getting reps. We also seen a lot of prospects getting reps, and that's kind of what spring training is about: seeing what the next guy up has to offer for a team in contention.
Yep.
So it's been really exciting. I've been liking what I've been seeing, like especially when I see Montas hit a bomb with an effortless swing.
Murphy and the next pitch to Montez. Swing and a drive deep into the gap in right center field. Where is this going to land? Onto the berm. Goodbye, baseball.
It's kind of
Oh
hard to
man,
seeing that on a
string of
daily
beauty
basis.
right
So
there.
it really is. I mean, like you said last time when you were down there, you saw just natural power. So
Yep.
that's what I've been excited about with spring training. Just seeing everyone getting a chance out there and making it happen.
Yeah, me too. I think so far, well, yesterday we got smoked 18 runs against the White
The
Sox,
White
but
Sox.
we also still scored 9 runs. So I
Yeah.
think the Mariners have had a lot of offense so far, which is a good sign. Obviously, they're facing some of our bum pitchers and same
Mhm.
as us. So, but I think a lot of our young guys have produced a lot of offense so far, which is good to see, which is going to make things very interesting coming into the start of the season.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing. It's again spring training. You can't say it's going to translate directly to MLB, but a lot of these guys, even on other teams and across other squads, are all fighting for a chance to be on a major league roster. So
Yeah,
these are guys that aren't just your average, single double A player who are working on things. These are guys who have figured things out, have had success at lower levels, and who are now playing for a shot at an opening day roster spot, or
yeah,
at very least to get some experience against some higher level of playing.
right.
So it's been really good to see our guys produce. I know Cole Young's been doing pretty well. He had a little setback with a strain recently, but we've seen Nuantas.
Hmm.
He's ripping the ball hard. Ben Williamson has been impressing at spring training. So those are the exact
Yeah,
things I like to look for in spring training. And, well, we've been seeing it. So,
yeah, yeah, we have for sure. Um,
now that most of the squad's down there and everything, we're seeing people getting shots at different positions as well. We didn't think that Solano was going to be an option at third base, but we've been seeing him at third base there a few times now.
yeah,
Um,
he started a couple games at third base already.
I think I saw him in
Um,
the lineup today too at third base.
yeah, well, I think part of that has to do with Polanco hasn't played yet,
Hmm.
so
Still recovering from that
that,
offseason surgery.
yeah, that might be a reason. Also, I think I don't know, they're giving him opportunity, I guess, seeing how he looks at third. Even though, going into spring training, a lot of the talk was he's going to be a first or DH
Hmm.
more after the Polanco signing. So I don't know, it's keeping things interesting. We'll see. I think they're just keeping their options open and seeing how different guys look.
Let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say the Mariners have something else in store, right? Let's say they've
Okay.
seen Bliss, they've seen Moore at second. They're not liking what they see. They
Mm-hmm.
are going to throw Polo back at two. Let's just say that his recovery is not going as well as they had hoped, so they want to give him a more comfortable option rather than starting him in a whole new position. Can we see
Yeah.
a Vince Solano at third base more often than not? I don't know if that's something they're looking at or not. I don't see why you would have an older, less athletic guy at third base. But
Yeah.
again, if he's hitting, you got to get him in there somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that being a viable option. Um, yeah. Uh, if Solano is over at third, I mean, they've also given Cole Emerson a lot of looks
Hmm.
so far in spring. So,
Yeah, I've seen him at third base, at shortstop. I think he even played a few innings at second base the other day too.
hmm yeah. So,
Again, with everything that happens in spring training, there could be a method to the madness. It could just be pure chaos in Dan Wilson's mind, saying, I'm just gonna try this. Let's just see what it looks like." There could be
yeah.
nothing behind it, and I think
Yeah.
that's kind of really awesome about spring training because you never know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen. So,
Right. Yeah,
is
that's
there
true. Yeah, and you get to see guys that, yeah, we don't regularly get to see. So,
mhm.
yeah.
is there any unexpected position battles that you see right now? We talked about right field, maybe Montas. We talk about second base, maybe Cole Young. Is there any other position battles that you see this spring training that are going to be really interesting come opening day?
He, you know, yes, I think this, as much as I like to kind of joke about it when it happened, but the signing of Rowdy Tellez, I think, made uh, the mix at first a little more interesting,
Mhm.
just because now they have him, they have, I guess I should say first and DH, because now they have him, they have, as much as I don't like to admit any of these guys, but they have Garver, they have Haniger, they have Tellez now, they have other, young guys, Montas, um,
Luke
that are
Rayleigh
kind of
even.
all, huh?
Luke Rayleigh even.
Yeah, yeah. Luke Rayleigh, that are all getting time there now, and it's like
Hmm.
who? I mean, that's 5 to 6 guys right there. So I don't know what they're gonna do about that. You
Yeah,
know?
Tellez. I mean, we saw him hit a bomb the other day. It was over 430 feet, I think.
Yeah,
And that was his first game of the spring. So I mean, he
yeah,
still has something. He has some value there. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
yeah.
Especially when you're paying Haniger and Garver, they're going to be on the major league roster, right? Tellez
Right.
is being paid league minimum. I think he was on a minor league deal with some incentives.
Yeah,
Solano, paid 3.5 million or whatever it was, and then Luke Rayleigh's
yeah,
still on arbitration. So
yeah,
these guys they're pushing for a spot, but the spot's not really open right now.
yeah.
Um, Especially
Well,
when you have a bunch of other bigger, older, non-athletic players. You gotta only have a few of those on your team. You can't have a team full of them. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
imagine a team of all just big Daho lead type guys, just every single position.
oh my God, dude. Vogelback at first, Holy at second, Mike Ford at
That shortstop.
shortstop, Tellez at third, dude.
That is crazy.
Heaviest team by weight in the MLB.
Yeah, they take two planes to their games.
Oh man.
No, I've seen the
But
same thing though. It's going to be interesting to see how that unravels in the season.
because all those guys that we kind of mentioned are to me in my mind, are very even in terms of like what they bring to the
Yeah.
team, and so it's going to be interesting to see how they divvy up that time or who they're going to go with.
I think
Um,
the only two players, and these are kind of obvious to have an edge, are Garver. He's a backup catcher, right? He
yeah,
gives Cal Raleigh some breaks, right? Then Mitch Haniger. I don't know if you've seen him this spring, but he looks better. He looks stronger. Looks more comfortable. His swing is back to his like 2018, 2019 esque swing, which
yeah,
is exactly what we wanted out of him. And he also
yeah,
has experience with the Mariners, so the ownership knows him and how he operates. So I think he has a little bit of an edge over Rowdy Tellez types, Donovan Solano types. To get those spots and to get those at bats for those reasons,
yeah,
especially because again they're both making $30 million collectively. So I
yeah,
think we'll most likely see those two on the roster. But I'm not opposed to giving Tellez a shot at some point in the season, seeing what he can do.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the money owed to them and their more veteran status. I
Yeah,
I
that
think is
presence is
gonna.
important for your young guys. So
Yeah. But then there's guys like Montez who I want to see, I would rather see. And the way
keep
he's been
showing up.
swinging so far, I know it's early, but the way he's been swinging is, you know, getting me hyped. So,
It's exciting. It's exciting to see him out
yeah.
there have some success against some higher level pitching.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it's gonna let's see how it goes. Only a few weeks until we find out.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Speaking of
Man.
pitching too, we've been able to see a lot of our guys. I think every one of our starters has now gotten a start in spring training. We saw
Yeah.
Kirby, unlike himself, walk two guys in a row in his first spring training appearance, and
Yeah.
that's again spring training, right? We've seen
Yeah.
Gilbert go out there and strike out the side to start the day. We've seen
Yep.
Brian Wu come out pitching.
Come
But
out
then also
throwing.
we
Yeah.
saw, our sixth guy Hancock went out there, and his fastball was live. I mean, he was having 97
Yeah.
miles run. It looked really good. I mean, do you think that complicates things at all for them picking their top five rotation, or maybe exploring other avenues? Does it change anything for you?
Yeah. Didn't Hancock struck out the side in his
Hmm.
first start, didn't he?
He struck out Luis Robert, yesterday.
Yeah.
I believe he was looking too.
Yeah, I think it does complicate things a little bit. I mean, we kind of already knew what Hancock brought to the table,
Hmm.
kind of coming into the season, but I mean, I think he's making a stronger case that he's ready to be. that guy in
Hmm.
a starting five rotation, and but it's going to be hard to make ours,
Hmm.
So I think that just builds a stronger case for either a trade opportunity w with someone else, and then having Hancock as an option to be put into your rotation, or whether that be Hancock getting traded. But I mean, I don't see him going to the bullpen. I mean, he's
Hmm.
starter material. So, and I think he's young, if he's ready, I mean, the way he's been pitching and looking so far, he's ready. So,
Hmm. I agree.
I I think it does complicate things. I mean, it's
He's
like,
25 years old now. He's got a few years under the belt. He's got a few MLB
yeah,
appearances under his belt. He came up in 2023. We saw him up a
right,
little last year once Luis Castillo went down, as well as
yeah,
Brian Wu down at the beginning of the year. Um,
yeah,
he's ready to go.
yeah,
Unfortunately, he's on a team that has the second best rotation in baseball, or arguably, like I say, the best rotation in baseball. And
yeah,
it's a difficult spot the ownership and management's in, because you have this guy who's ready to go, cheap, affordable, and if you don't bring him up, he's going to turn into Justice Sheffield. He's going to turn into a guy who just is running the paces and never gets that chance. You got to develop him at some
yeah,
point to that level that he can produce, which is at the MLB level.
yeah. And I think he deserves, and I think he's ready for that chance.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's 25. That's still young, but that's also like, going into your prime. I mean,
Yep. We see
you,
Julio. He's 23 this year, and he's younger and already has 3 years under his belt.
yeah.
So you got
So
to give
he
Hancock a chance at some point.
at 25, you have to get. I mean, he shows that he's ready. He has to be in there. So
Last year we saw something that no team ever sees, but we saw 5 guys go out and have 25 plus starts each.
yeah,
As much as I
crazy.
would love to see that repeat this year, it's not likely to happen, right?
Yeah,
Um, so let's just say someone sits. Obviously, you bring Hancock up, but if everyone's healthy the whole year, I think when July comes around, you start exploring some options.
yeah,
Let's say Polo's not bouncing back the way you wanted him to. Let's say that Robles is not everything you needed him to be, or Rosa Reina is not returning to form. You might have to take that hit to trade
hmm,
one of those 6 guys.
yeah,
I think Castillo is the name that sticks out there. Unfortunately, I think even Kirby could be the guy that sticks out there. Um, but it's going to be
yeah,
interesting. Management or ownership and management's got to do something to make the fans happy if things don't work out the way that they want them to this year.
yeah. And going into that trade deadline, I mean, teams are going to be looking for pitching. They're going to be
Always.
looking for a starting pitcher that can take them down the stretch. So
Hmm.
I think that obviously, since something didn't work out or happen during the off season this year, I mean, yeah, something's got to happen at the trade deadline, I
Well,
would
touching
think.
touching base on that too. I mean, we've talked about the budget restraints that we have. We've talked
Yeah,
about our amazing farm system, our amazing rotation, and yet still nothing to show about the last 2 years, missing the playoffs each year by only a few games. Uh,
yeah,
what are some things that you think the ownership can do to make fans happy, to make fans excited about this team,
yeah,
without signing Shohei Ohtani to 700 million, without trading your whole farm system away for a guy that could be him? Trading like
yeah.
4 top guys for Luis Robert. What can they do with their current restraints to make the fans happy and make this team a better contending team?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that the ownership can still do to make fans happy, actually. Well, you've seen all the, off season, everyone's talking about on social media and stuff, don't spend your money on the Mariners, don't go to games, don't, if ownership's not going to spend, then, the fans shouldn't spend either and stuff. Well, I know it's spring training, but when I was there at games, I mean, the games were packed. I mean, they were
Hmm.
solid. And so people are still going. I mean, we'll see how that transitions to the regular season once it starts, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the fans are still going. People are still
We're a
spending
loyal fan
money.
base. I mean, you and I
Yeah,
have been fans since we were 5, and we've seen one playoff appearance,
yeah,
or one season
exactly.
with the playoff appearance, and it's like
Yeah, and I,
every year we say the same thing. This is the year. This is the year. Why
yeah,
not just say it, but actually do it?
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, and those games were packed with a lot of Mariners fans. So
Mhm.
I mean, me included. So
Yeah, you went down there. You're angry
I,
with ownership, but you still realize that it's still a game that you love with a team
yeah.
that you love, and there still is that promise.
And the Mariners are still. It's not like the Mariners are the White Sox or the Marlins
No.
or we're right on that edge, and we have been for the past few years of you know I know we've only made it one time, but
Mhm.
we're right there. So we're still an exciting team to watch, and it still should get everyone excited. And I've said this before in previous video, but spending money on just signing the biggest name free agents, it doesn't always work. I mean, remember when we signed, Cano, Cruz? Yeah, those guys had good years and it was fun, but we didn't make the playoffs. I mean,
Mhm.
there's been so many guys that we've signed in free agency or traded for that were big names, and we still either they didn't work out or we still didn't win games. So I think I know I'm going on a little tangent here, but I
Say it. Get on that
I
box.
think.
Keep it going.
So that being said, I think there is still a lot that the ownership can do this year, where we stand currently. I mean, bringing up some of those big name prospects, if they're producing and they're ready, I think bringing them up and getting them in the lineup is going to be huge for the fan base. I mean, it's going to make everyone excited. They're going to want to see them, and especially if they do well in the big leagues, I think that's huge. I mean, that right there is going to be get the fans, excited. So,
No,
and then
I 100% agree with you. I mean, as a Mariners fan, it's kind of hard to say this, but like you said, big signings don't always mean it. The big trade does not always mean anything. I
hmm
think you look at teams like the Guardians, you look at teams like the Astros back in 2014. These are teams that built and developed a roster full of guys rather than just trading or signing these guys.
yeah,
But then you look at teams like the Phillies and the Dodgers. A lot of those teams are, come up with, a mixture of guys you bring up as well as signing. So I think there's a happy medium in there. And unfortunately, the
yeah,
Mariners are on the lower end of that. They're not signing the guys to complement the roster that they need.
right,
Awesome rotation, right? You got Julio, Cal Raleigh are coming up the farm system and have made MLB appearances and are now impactful MLB bats at a high
yeah,
level as well. How can you blend the two, right? I think the
hmm
Mariners do need to sign somebody long term, and that like someone that has success. A Rafael Devers, Alex Bregman type, someone who has shown on another team that they're ready to go. Vlad Guerrero would be a great example. He's going to go for way too much money, but
yeah,
someone like that makes your team immensely better. But you don't need to
yeah,
sign three, four, five of those guys.
no,
You can sign one of them. You
yeah,
could trade for one, and then the rest of your farm system or little pieces like your deal here, your deal there, and you make
yeah,
yourself so much better. I mean, it's not. I know we're just fans. I know we're just want to be MLB the Show coaches and managers, but it doesn't seem that complicated to be able to piece together all those things while keeping the budget where they want to be happy.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Like you said, there needs to be a healthy mix of
Mm-hmm.
some big name guys and then the younger developable talent. But for me, I think like what gets you more excited, seeing someone, let's just say, bringing up a guy like Montez who's young and has his whole career and future ahead of him, and so bringing him up and seeing him produce,
Mm-hmm.
and then knowing like he could be the future. We could have him long term. That gets me more excited than say signing a veteran who's already proven and who's maybe already at the mid or later in his career.
I agree. I mean, when we signed Garver, our biggest signing in the last few years, I remember you were just kind of dismissive. You're like, nah, hopefully he does something for us. But then we're talking about Montez, we're talking about Cole Young, we're talking about Cole Emerson. We're
Yeah,
excited about these names. We've heard them for years. We've seen them come up, especially going to Everett Aqua Sox games, to potentially Rainiers games, to Mariners games. Seeing that
yeah,
process is special. And if
yeah,
they can actually make these guys MLB ready and produce high at levels like Cal Raleigh and Julio, we're going to have a team for the next 5-6 years that is solid. And I'm not
yeah.
talking like, oh, they're going to make the playoff wild card. Like, no, we could run the division solid if all of that
hmm
aligns and you sign the 1-2 off players to get the team even in a better position.
Yeah, and yeah, we're still gonna have to make off-season signings, even if the majority or some of these guys that we call up do work out and become mainstays here. We're still gonna have to sign guys. I mean, we're not gonna be able to keep everyone, but I think that's kind of where the Mariners ownership's head is at as well. Is
Yeah.
they're banking on these young guys to come up, and I'm fine with that. I mean, like I said, that gets me more excited the majority of the time than older guy signing older
Mm-hmm.
players. But of course they have to work out. So,
I agree, and it's
but
it's going to be interesting because like you said, you can only keep some of these players, right? You can bring all these guys up. They have 5 years arbitration, and then they're all gone, right? You're going to extend some. You're going to trade some. Some are going to fall off. That's inevitable. That's baseball, right? But how
yeah,
can you do that in a manageable way where you have those pieces to bridge that gap as well, such as
hmm
extending Cal Raleigh, Gilbert. So then when the other guys drop off, you still have those mainstays, and then your
yeah,
next guys are coming up.
right,
Um, I just pulled up right now the free agent class of next year. We're talking about what the Mariners can do to better themselves. I think next year we're going to see a lot of young guys that are in spring training right now that are going to be starting opening day guys, right? We're going to see Cole
yeah,
Young probably at second base. We're going to see Montez probably in right field, like opening day next year. This year would
yeah.
be great. Don't think it's going to happen, but next
I
year we're
agree.
going to see those names, right?
Yeah,
Next year's free agent class is rough.
Vlad Guerrero, Vlad Guerrero,
Vladdy Guerrero, the one
the
guy that's worth something on that
the
free
only
agency
guy that
class.
I want to sign.
I'm looking at the the supposed top 10 free agents of next year.
Okay,
Vladdy Guerrero is the youngest.
yeah,
He is also going to be the most expensive.
for sure.
If the Mariners somehow were able to, we trade Garver, Haniger, drop Luis Castillo's payment the next few years, extend Cal Raleigh and maybe Logan Gilbert to something like reasonable to get him out of arbitration in plus 1 year. If you can go sign Vladdy, that right there wins the fans over.
Oh
It
yeah,
boosts your payroll maybe by gets you up to like 180 tops with all these arbitrations going up and everything.
yeah,
But that makes your team insane.
dude.
Imagine that you have Robles leading off, you have Arosa Rain in the 2 hole, you have Julio in the 3 hole, Cal Raleigh in the 4 hole, and then Vlad in the 5 hole.
Dude,
I mean, I'm gonna have
Vlad
dreams
and
about this tonight. I'm gonna have dreams about this tonight. I just know it.
Vlad in the 4 hole, Rayleigh in the 5 hole, and then don't forget about Montez,
No, it's totally
dude.
true.
Oh
That,
my goodness.
I mean, if you have those guys and if you have your top 7, and then
Uh,
you just slot in JP in the 9 hole, whatever, and then whoever the two could be Cole Young,
yeah,
in the 8 hole. So
yeah,
that would be insane, and
that would be
that
insane.
right there gets your team. You have a fast, dynamic team. You have a power hitting team. You have guys
Yeah,
that can play in multiple positions. You have flexibility. You still have your pitching staff.
yeah.
If John Stanton, if you are watching this right now, give us a call. We have some ideas. Let us run. Let us pitch you a sale. Like, we'll be on Shark Tank version. He can say yes or he can say no. That's fine. Let us at least get a chance to say
Yeah.
what we think should happen.
Let our voices be heard.
Let our voices be
Let
heard.
us
We don't
run
need
one
crazy.
off season, see what happens. If the Mariners
Dude,
tank, then never
then it's yeah. We'll move to some remote island. You'll never see us again.
we'll shut down the podcast. We'll do you'll never hear us see us again.
What do you even think Vlad would go for next year? I mean, we saw
God.
Juan Soto sign the $735 million deal. Vlad is a few years older than him, has a good amount of success. I wouldn't say as much success. Has more defensive limitations.
Yeah.
What does Vlad Guerrero go for? He'll be 20. I believe he'll be 28 at the time he goes on a free agent. Oh, sorry, 27 at the time he goes into the free agency market next year.
Well, the Blue Jays were terrible last year. I think he's gonna look for something. I think he's 10 years.
I think 10 years is plausible. As a Mariners fan, if we can get 10 years of Vlad Guerrero, and even if we get 6, 7 good years out of that, and then the last 3 are kind of like, okay, that
Yeah.
right there is Montez, Cole Young, Emerson, Kirby, Wu, Miller. Name all these guys. That's their prime years. And
Yeah.
you add that compliment.
And don't forget we extend Logan Gilbert too.
We're gonna extend Logan Gilbert.
And we got
Cal
Hancock.
Raleigh, we're gonna have Julio. Then Hancock's gonna be our ace. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but like on a real note though, Vladdy Guerrero for $400 million, you have to be in on that.
Yeah.
If it gets up to 500, 600, I don't know.
Yeah. Then realistically, yeah, no, I could see, that obviously, that's too much, but I think a 10-year 400, I think somewhere around there is realistic.
Do you think that they could get Vladdy for a contract similar to Julio's? That's so incentive based his contract could be double the value. I mean, Julio can make up to $470 million over the
Yeah,
17 years.
yeah, but also when Julio signed that contract, he wasn't. I mean, yes, he had already his Rookie of the Year season and a great year, but he wasn't proven like Vladdy is already. I
That was
mean,
arguably his best year, though. Julio's first
it
year as his
was,
best year.
yeah, but it was only one season. Vladdy has had already multiple great years, and he's older.
Mhm.
I don't think he's I don't think he's going to want a incentive based contract. I think he wants show me the money right now, and I've already proven it. I've done it for multiple years. I think he's going to want guaranteed.
Let's pull up his
Honestly,
stats really quick. You know me. I'm a big numbers guy.
yeah,
I gotta see it on paper to believe it because I haven't watched him closely over the years, and I'll admit to that. But I've seen him. When the Blue Jays come into town, it's hard not to miss when the Blue Jays come into town. You got to be at the games to support the home fans, or the home team. Um,
yeah. We're basically an away game for the Mariners when the Blue Jays come to town. My
it's
God,
crazy.
yeah,
So let's see his best year. If my computer loads, his best year was by WAR was 2021. He had a 6.7 WAR. That's the year he had 48 bombs and a batting average of 311. I mean, top five player right there, offensively at least.
yeah, really good.
He slumped the next 2 years a little bit. Still made the All Star team. He still was good enough to make the All Star team. And then last year he had a second best season, 30 home runs, batted 323.
Yeah,
Um, that's special for a big guy to hit that level. And we saw his dad do that, decades ago. We're seeing him do it now. He's six
yep,
seasons in and only 27. I mean,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's had 6 years already, and he's already played at that level multiple years. I think yeah, I think he wants the money. I don't think
I think if you
he's
can
gonna go
get
for
him
an
in around,
expensive deal.
let's say, $450 million. Let's throw it up to 11 years because he's going to want some security. He's going to want to be seen as one of those respected players, right? If
Yeah,
you can even backload that slightly, where like the last few years he's getting paid 55,
yeah,
you can get his prime years for 30. You can trade him away his last 4 years on the contract. He might eat half of it, but you know what? That's fine. In that 5 year span, and we've been making major runs in the postseason. We've maybe had a World Series appearance, maybe even a win with Julio, Cal Raleigh, Vlad. I know we're getting really
yeah,
here, but I mean, this is a player that we're talking about. This is a player the fans
yeah,
want to see on the team, and you don't need three of them. You just need one of them. We
yeah,
have the other pieces. We have the pitching. We have the prospects. We have the MLB ready bats that are at least producing in some level. You just need
yeah,
that one big guy to drive them in.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll digress from there.
No, I don't think that. Yeah, I mean that. I think all we need is him, and I realistically, I think he would not be opposed to coming to the Mariners. I mean, if the
We've seen him and Julio at two home run derbies together,
yep,
two All Star games together. They have a
yep,
connection, and we
yeah,
saw in the past how Robbie Cano and Cruz had such a connection. That'd be kind
yeah,
of cool to bring that back.
yeah,
If you add them in with Rosarena and Robles, I mean that's a fun group of four right there. They're all kind of
yep,
outspoken. They're all kind of fun, and they all have their own
exactly,
personalities. I would love to see it. Make it
yeah,
happen. That right there makes the fans happy with a big signing, but without destroying your farm system, without destroying your payroll.
yeah,
I think it's manageable.
yeah. And you wouldn't really need to sign anyone else
Nope.
at that point. I mean, just sign him. Um, yeah. I mean, it's look how well he's played for a big boy. I mean, hitting at that high of an average.
He's listed at 245.
Yeah,
That's bigger than Big Dumper at his biggest.
yeah, yeah,
Big Dumper might have to change his name after Vladdy comes to the Mariners. So
yeah. Vladdy's bigger dumper.
we were
I
ranting
think
a lot. I was like, dude, we gotta.
I know. I think so.
It's exciting stuff, though. I mean, I could talk about
It
this shit
is.
for hours. I think those are some fun things to talk about. And we're in spring training right now. Things are really exciting. A lot of young guys coming up. Fans want the consistency. They want the winning culture brought to Seattle.
Yeah.
We're almost there. We're like I'd say 85% of the way to being a really solid team, and we see that reflected in the wins. We had 85 wins last year. There's your 85%. Let's get to that 100 wins again. And if you sign Vladdy and get these guys their chances and they all can produce, that's what we would see in the very near future. So,
Yeah,
especially if we keep that pitching staff together. And
yeah,
not only
I
does
think so.
Vladdy make sure the pitching staff stays together, so you don't have to trade anybody, but he's also Vladdy. You're everyday first baseman.
Exactly,
So
exactly. Yeah,
I
I love
think
to hear it.
I think those are some great things. To let us know what you think down below. Let us know who you want to see the Mariners to sign or trade. Let us know the best way that they can make the fans happy without destroying our farm system or raising or doubling our payroll. Let us know what you've seen in spring training. We're excited about it, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Let's keep it going.